just melts. Very little resistance. The marinade is super nice. So I'm going to show you a trick into how to ensure tender lamb for kebabs. This is an ingredient that I've seen in Indian and Pakistani marinades. It's using green papaya, which contains an enzyme called papain, I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's a natural way of tenderizing, and the enzymes mix with the meat and just help break down the protein. Obviously, a green papaya in the UK is a little bit expensive. I think this was around £8-9. You don't have to be as diehard as I do, because there is a powder that you can buy for the grand sum of 79p. Generally is advertised as meat tenderizer. This contains the enzyme in here in its dry form. This is perfectly usable, perfectly fine. It does contain salt and wheat, so that's something that you have to bear in mind if you're using that it does contain a fair bit of salt. So whatever you're making, you just have to sort of adjust accordingly. However, having said that, I am a diehard, so I will be using the green papaya. So we're just going to blitz it up with the garlic and ginger when we make the paste, and add that in with the marinade. We're fighting the gods today, and we keep losing. So I've got some lamb leg here, which I'm just going to take off the bone, dice up, add it to the marinade. This is more like a Boti kebab recipe, but it is a super nice one to use with your lamb. I'm using lamb leg today. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a spice mix. I'm going to put cumin. I'm just going to put it in here, and I'm going to transfer it to a pan to toast. A small amount of cassia bark. I'm going to put in black cardamom, a couple of cloves, put in some black peppercorns, and then I'm just going to take them over to my pan. I'm just going to roast them nicely. And if you're making spice mixes, generally want to toast your spices whole and then grind. You never want to take powdered spices and then try and toast them, because they just burn, and it's just not what you do. You just want to warm up all the spices, release the oils, and then they'll be ready to go. They've toasted. And you just want to allow them to cool slightly before you start blending it, otherwise it can get a bit damp. There we go. There is nothing better than a fresh spice mix. Well, maybe there's a few things better, but not much better. Add some peeled ginger. Some ginger. Some garlic. I'm going to go a couple of green chilies. Then we're going to take a papaya, peel it. Yeah, I'm going to remove this funny stuff. And then you don't need much. With the rest of that papaya, peel it all, dice it, and then I'm going to freeze it just to preserve it. And then to this, we can add a tiny bit of water. And then you see we have a paste. So then I'm going to take this, I'm going to add it in with it. We're going to add some turmeric, Kashmiri chilli, and some coriander powder, and then some strained yogurt. And then just the last thing I'm going to add is a tiny bit of oil just to help cook the marinade. Big bit of salt. And that's your marinade ready. If you were using the meat tenderizer powder, I would say you would add it in just when you're making your spice mix. You just want to put significantly less salt. So I've got my lamb leg here. I'm just gonna take it off the bone. So because of the tenderizer, you know it's going to be tender. It's going to cut into nice, decent sized chunks. Because it's a yogurt, we're not really looking for the fat. Generally in Indian or Pakistani kebabs I've had, there's generally no fat anyway. The papaya can essentially break down any meat if you give it enough time. I'm going to give it a good mixing, making sure it's all completely covered. And then that we're going to leave now in the fridge for minimum 8 hours overnight. You see that the meat starts to break down a little bit and it starts to go a little bit grayer, which is just the enzymes of the papaya doing what they're supposed to be doing. But we're going to take our shish skewers and just feed on the kebabs. So there are other ways you can tenderize lamb kebabs. You'll find generally in sort of Turkish grilling, in some cases they'll use milk, which has a sort of a more gentle version of yogurt. It's just that papaya sort of can break down pretty much anything and make it super soft. You know, the Korean style short ribs, they use a similar sort of marinade with fruit. The same enzyme can be found in things like kiwi, pineapple. Now they're all skewered, we can start grilling. We've got our charcoal, super nice and hot. We can go on. In some ways, unlike Turkish barbecue, like Indian cuisine, is about getting a good colour on the marinade to really roast the marinade. You know, Turkish cuisine is like to leave a lot of fat on, or we're adding tail fat, so you want some sort of super slow cooking, getting all the smoke flavour. Whereas with Indian cuisine, it's why the tandoors are so hot, because they want to really get a good colour on the marinade and on the kebabs. So it's a similar thing here, because we want a really good heat. And this is where your fan is super helpful in just maintaining a nice temp. I've got no ghee, but I've got some Greek goat's butter hanging around. So it's called saka butter. So I'm just going to brush on and just help make it all look a bit sexy, keep it from drying out. So because of the papaya, because it does such an effective job in tenderizing, you're not really worrying about how far it's cooking. Your main concern is just making sure you've got this colour to make sure that the marinade is properly cooked. So they're ready when they've got a good char all over. Take them off, skewer. You can see how it's just breaking apart, how soft. And then to finish, chaat masala, you can just sprinkle on top. Got some coriander, stalks and all. And I'm going to chiffonade over, freshen it up a little bit, and then it's going to finish off with a dab of ghee. And then on the side, I'm just going to put a nice bundle onion salad, and that's your lot. It just melts. Very little resistance. The marinade is super nice. Onion salad. The coriander really helps as well. Just lighten it up. But yeah, papaya paste works. Give it a go.